Cassius Renner wipes down the same mat he's wiped down every morning for the last 4 years. 6 a.m. The gym is empty except for him and the hum of the vending machine in the corner. He does this before anyone else arrives. Not because it's in his job description, because his father taught him that a clean space is a kind of respect. His daughter, Nia, is 7. She's sitting cross-legged by the front desk, doing her spelling homework on a clipboard he printed for her. She comes here most mornings before school. There's no one else to watch her. There hasn't been anyone else in 3 years. He checks her word, spells it back to her quietly. Doesn't rush her. By 7, the regulars start filtering in. They call him Coach Renner, or just Coach. Most of them don't know what he did before this. Most of them think he's just the guy who runs the front desk, teaches the kids' class on Tuesdays, and mops the floor at closing. They're wrong. But he's never been in a hurry to correct anyone. Now, before you judge this man by that mop in his hand, you should know something about him first. Something almost nobody in this gym knows. 14 years ago, Cassius Renner was a Navy diver. Not the kind of sailor who fixes his own bunk and calls it a day. The kind who gets dropped into black water at 2 in the morning to do a job most people couldn't survive. He served 8 years, 2 deployments, a citation he keeps folded in a drawer he never opens. He learned hand-to-hand in a program most people have never heard of, taught by men who didn't care about belts or rankings, only about what worked when everything else failed. He came home to a wife named Danielle and a baby girl who didn't know his face yet. 3 years ago, Danielle got sick. Fast. The kind of fast that doesn't leave room for goodbyes that feel like enough. Cassius buried her on a Tuesday and picked Nia up from her grandmother's on a Wednesday, and that was that. No pension was built for a life like the one he had left. No skill on his DD-214 translated into a paycheck that could cover daycare and rent in the same month. The gym owner, an old chief he'd served with, gave him a job sweeping floors and running the desk. Cassius took it without blinking. Some men would have called it beneath them. Cassius called it Tuesday. He never mentions the Navy, never mentions the water or the training or the folded citation in the drawer. As far as this gym is concerned, he's just Coach Renner, who's good with the kids and better with a mop. That's about to change. Because today a new member is walking through that door, 26 years old, 3rd-degree black belt, about to make the biggest mistake of his young career. The black belt's name is Tyler Vance, 26, 3rd-degree competition record posted on his social media like a resume. He walks in with a duffel bag over one shoulder and a look on his face like the building should already know who he is. Cassius is behind the front desk when Tyler signs his membership forms. Cassius slides the clipboard across, tells him where the locker room is, tells him class times are posted on the wall by the water fountain. Standard, polite, nothing more. Tyler doesn't really look at him, just a glance. A man in his 40s behind a desk, a mop leaning in the corner. Tyler's eyes move past him like he's furniture. Cassius doesn't mind. He's used to it. What Tyler doesn't know, what nobody at this gym knows except the owner, is that Cassius spent 8 years being the guy nobody noticed until the moment it mattered. That's how the training worked. You didn't announce what you could do. You just did it quietly when the situation demanded it, and then you went back to being quiet again. His mentor in the Navy, a chief named Odell Briggs, used to say it like this: the loudest man in the room is usually the one who's never been tested. Cassius carries that with him the way some men carry a photograph. Nia finishes her spelling words and packs up her clipboard. Cassius walks her to the door where her grandmother is waiting in the car to take her to school. He crouches down to her height, straightens her jacket collar, tells her to have a good day. She hugs him around the neck before she goes. This is the part of his morning nobody at the gym sees, and it's the part that matters most. Back inside, the regulars are stretching, running drills, going through the motions of an ordinary Tuesday. Cassius runs the kids' class at 4, sweeps the mats at close, locks up, comes back the next morning and does it again. For 3 years, this has been the whole shape of his life. Provide, show up, keep his daughter fed and his grief folded small enough to carry. Tyler, meanwhile, starts showing up every day. Fast, aggressive in his roles. Good, genuinely good, technically speaking. The kind of good that comes from a decade of tournaments and a coach who cared more about trophies than character. He starts commenting on the other members' technique between rounds, correcting people who didn't ask to be corrected. He starts calling Cassius Mop Guy, not to his face at first, just to the other members with a laugh like it's obvious, like it's harmless. It isn't harmless. But Cassius doesn't say anything. He's absorbed worse than a nickname from a 26-year-old who's never had a bad day in his life. Because here's the thing about a man who's already survived the worst thing he'll ever survive. Words don't move him the way they used to. Tyler doesn't know that yet. He's about to find out the hard way in front of the whole gym in 3 weeks' time. Before we continue, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And if you've ever loved someone with a truly pure heart, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you never miss these amazing stories. 3 weeks later, and Tyler Vance is a fixture. Everyone at the gym has met him by now. Everyone has an opinion, though most keep it to themselves, because he's fast and he's technical and he tells you so before you've asked. He signs up for the advanced sparring class, the one Cassius doesn't teach but always stays late to watch, off to the side, arms folded, saying nothing. He watches the way a man watches something he used to be good at. Odell Briggs, his old chief, calls him on a Sunday like he does most Sundays. Odell's retired now, living 2 states over, but the two of them have never stopped checking in. You still mopping floors, Renner? Somebody's got to. You know I could get you into training work, real training work, contract stuff. Pays triple what that gym pays you. I got a 7-year-old, Odell. She doesn't need a father on a plane 4 months a year. She needs a father who's home for dinner. Odell doesn't push it. He never does. He just says the same thing he always says before he hangs up. Water finds its level, Cash. Yours is still rising. Don't let anybody tell you different. Cassius doesn't repeat that conversation to anybody. He goes back to work Monday morning like always, wipes the mats, watches Nia spell her words, waits for the regulars. The kids' class on Tuesday is the best part of his week, though he'd never say it that way out loud. 8 kids, ages 5 to 10, learning balance and respect and how to fall down without it costing them anything. He's patient with the slow ones. He's patient with the loud ones. Nia sits in the corner some Tuesdays doing her homework, watching her father teach. One of the mothers, Renata, who brings her son every week, tells Cassius once that her boy talks about Coach more than he talks about anything else at school. Cassius says thank you and means it more than she knows. This is the shape of the life he's built. Small, steady. His. Tyler doesn't see any of it. Tyler sees a man who mops floors and says yes sir to gym owners half his size and ambition. Tyler has started making comments louder now, not just Mop Guy behind his back. Now it's during class, loud enough for the room. Hey coach, you ever actually train or just watch? Laughter from a couple of the newer members. Cassius says nothing, keeps sweeping. I'm serious. You just gonna stand there every class like a security guard or you got something? The room goes a little quiet. This is strike one, though nobody in that gym knows to count it yet. Cassius looks up from the mat he's wiping down, the mop bucket sitting behind him. I've got somewhere to be, he says, and walks his daughter to the car. That night, after Nia's asleep, Cassius sits at the kitchen table with the folded citation from the drawer in front of him. He doesn't open it. He just sits there with his hand flat on top of it for a long time, thinking about water and rising, and how long a man can wait before the waiting starts costing him something too. Renata's son is named Marcus, 9 years old, small for his age. The kind of kid who gets picked last for everything until Cassius started working with him one-on-one after the regular class ends. Marcus has a stutter he's self-conscious about, and Cassius never rushes his questions, the same way he never rushes Nia's spelling. You're not slow, you're careful, Cassius tells him once. Careful wins more fights than fast does. Marcus starts showing up early just to help wipe the mats with him. This is the community Cassius has built without meaning to build it. A gym full of kids who trust him, parents who nod to him in the parking lot, an old chief who checks in every Sunday. It isn't the life he thought he'd have at 38. It's the life he has. Most days, that's enough. Tyler keeps escalating. Strike two comes on a Thursday during open mat. when a newer member named Priya, mid-30s, 3 months into training, asks Cassius a technical question about hip escapes. Cassius answers her, shows her the mechanics, slow, patient, the same way he shows everyone. Tyler cuts in before she's finished practicing it. That's not how you do it. Watch. He demonstrates his version, faster, sharper, and adds, loud enough for half the room. No offense, coach, but maybe stick to teaching the 5-year-olds. Priya looks embarrassed, caught between two men, unsure who to listen to. She goes with Tyler's version. Of course she does. He's got the belt. He's got the record. Cassius has a mop. Cassius doesn't correct him, doesn't defend himself, just nods once and moves on to restock the water fountain cups. That night, Odell calls again, off his usual schedule, which means something's on his mind. You remember Petty Officer Alvarez? From the unit? I remember. He runs a training program now. Vets transitioning into combatives instruction, private security contracts, the whole thing. Legitimate. Good pay, good hours, home every night. I gave him your number. Odell, I'm not telling you to take it, Cash. I'm telling you it exists. There's a difference between a man who won't do something and a man who's never been offered the chance to. Cassius doesn't sleep much that night, not because of the offer, because of what Priya's face looked like, embarrassed in front of a room of strangers, having taken bad advice from a man who talked louder than the man who actually knew what he was doing. He thinks about his father and the mop and what dignity is actually for, if not for moments exactly like that one. And whether staying quiet is dignity or just something that looks like it from a distance. Friday morning, he wipes down the mats, same as always. Nia does her spelling. The regulars filter in. Nothing looks different from the outside, but something in Cassius has shifted half a degree, the way water starts to move before anyone can see it moving. Strike 3 happens on a Saturday, and this one isn't about Cassius at all. It's Marcus, Renata's son. 9 years old, stutter and all, showing up early like he always does to help wipe the mats. Tyler's running a private lesson that morning for a paying client, using the far mat, and Marcus wanders too close, retrieving a stray water bottle. Tyler snaps at him to move, sharp, the kind of sharp adults use on kids when they think no one's really watching. Marcus, startled, tries to apologize, and the stutter that never bothers anybody in this gym suddenly bothers Tyler a great deal. Spit it out, kid, come on. Some of the regulars hear it. Cassius doesn't. He's in the back office when it happens, going over the week's schedule with the owner. He hears about it 15 minutes later from Renata, standing at the front desk with her arms crossed tight over her chest and her voice shaking in a way it's never shaken before. He made fun of the way my son talks, Cassius, in front of people. My son doesn't even want to come back. Cassius has absorbed a lot of things quietly over the years. Nicknames, dismissive looks, comments about mops and belts and who deserves respect in a room. He's absorbed those because they only cost him something. This costs Marcus something. And Marcus is 9 and careful and trying, and none of that is a thing you get to mock. Cassius tells Renata he'll handle it. She asks him what that means. He says he doesn't fully know yet, but that it won't happen again. That afternoon, Tyler's still there, cooling down after his session, checking his phone, unbothered, the way a man is unbothered when he doesn't think what he did counts as anything. Cassius walks over. First time in 3 months he's approached Tyler directly about anything. You made a kid feel small today, a kid who trusts this gym. Tyler doesn't even look up right away. It's a combat sport, man. Kid needs thicker skin. He's 9. And you're the janitor lecturing me on character. That's rich. Tyler finally looks up, half smiling, the same practiced condescension he's worn since day one. Tell you what, coach. You care so much. Why don't you get on the mat yourself sometime? Instead of just watching from the corner like it's not your world anymore. The gym's gone quiet around them. A few regulars have stopped what they're doing. Cassius doesn't raise his voice, doesn't change his expression much at all. Careful what you ask for. Tyler laughs, short and dismissive, and walks off toward the locker room, already telling the story a different way in his head, one where he's the one who won that exchange. Cassius stands there a moment longer. Then he goes and finds the gym owner, the old chief who's known him 14 years, and asks him for something he's never asked for before: a public role. Next Saturday, open to the whole gym to watch. Word travels fast in a small gym. By Wednesday, everybody's heard. Coach Renner, the Mop Guy, challenged the third-degree black belt to a public role. Nobody quite believes it until they see the sign-up sheet taped to the front desk, Saturday, 10 a.m., in the owner's own handwriting. Tyler treats it like a joke at first. Tells people he'll go easy. Tells people it's basically a favor, letting an old man save some face in front of his daughter. He says this loud enough for it to get back to Cassius, the way everything Tyler says eventually gets back to Cassius. Cassius doesn't respond to any of it. He trains instead, quietly before hours after Nia's dropped at her grandmother's for the weekend. Nobody sees this part. It isn't for them. Odell drives the 2 states over Friday night, shows up at Cassius's door with a duffel bag and no explanation needed. "Figured you could use a corner man," is all he says. They don't talk about Danielle or the 8 years or the citation in the drawer. They just work. Odell calls out timing the way he did 14 years ago in training that had nothing to do with belts or rankings, only with what worked when everything else failed. Cassius's body remembers before his mind fully catches up. Water finding its level. Saturday morning the gym is packed. Word got out further than anyone expected. Regulars brought friends, friends brought phones. Renata is there with Marcus, who's wide-eyed and clutching his water bottle like a good luck charm. Nia sits in the front row next to her grandmother, not entirely sure what she's about to watch, only that her father told her it was important and that she should be proud of him no matter what happens. Tyler comes out loose, smiling for the room, playing to the crowd he thinks is his. He taps his own chest twice, bows theatrically. Somebody laughs. Cassius walks out in a plain gray shirt, no theater in him at all. He bows once, to the room, not to Tyler specifically. The first 30 seconds Tyler tests him. Fast, technical, the tournament instincts on full display, exactly the kind of speed that's beaten 100 opponents his own age. Cassius doesn't chase any of it, doesn't panic, just moves like a man reading water, patient, absorbing, waiting for the one opening that 14 years of training taught him always eventually comes. It comes 40 seconds in. Tyler overcommits on a takedown attempt, the kind of aggressive shot that's worked for him 1,000 times against opponents his own age with his own kind of training. Cassius doesn't meet the force. He redirects it the way Odell taught men to redirect force underwater when fighting it directly would drown you both. Tyler's own momentum does the rest. The room goes dead silent for 1 full second before it erupts. Tyler is on his back and Cassius has him controlled, calm, not a single wasted motion, not a hint of anger in his face. He could end it right there. Everyone in the room can see that he could end it right there. He doesn't. He lets Tyler tap on his own terms, gives him that much, and stands up first, offering a hand down to help him up. Tyler doesn't take it. Tyler gets up on his own, jaw tight, avoiding every eye in the room except the floor in front of him. For the first time since he walked through that door 3 months ago, he doesn't have anything to say. The gym owner, the old chief, doesn't let the moment pass quietly. He walks to the center of the mat, and he does something Cassius never asked him to do and never would have asked him to do. He tells the room who Cassius actually is. 8 years Navy diver, 2 deployments, a training pedigree most competition black belts never come within a mile of, because it was never built for trophies. It was built to keep men alive in situations that don't care about your record. A citation for actions the owner says he still isn't allowed to fully describe, except to say that Cassius Renner is the reason 3 other men went home to their families. The room is silent in a different way now. Renata has a hand over her mouth. Marcus is staring at Cassius like he's seeing him for the first time, which, in a way, he is. He's mopped this gym's floors for 4 years, the owner says, because his daughter needed him home for dinner more than the world needed him anywhere else. That's not weakness. Y'all just never bothered to ask. Odell, standing near the door with his arms crossed, doesn't say a word, doesn't need to. His face says all of it. Nia doesn't fully understand the training or the deployments or what a citation means. But she understands her father just did something the whole room is looking at him like it matters, and she runs to him across the mat and wraps both arms around his waist before he's even caught his breath. Cassius picks her up like it's the easiest thing he's done all day, easier than the roll. Tyler stands off to the side, forgotten in the moment, which might be the first time in his life that's happened to him in a room full of people. Later that week, it isn't just the gym that hears about it. One of the members posts a clip. Just the takedown. 30 seconds of footage. And by Monday, it's made its way to a local sports page, then a regional one, a veteran combatives instructor confirming on camera what the technique was and where it came from. A training lineage most viewers have never heard of and immediately want to know more about. Petty Officer Alvarez calls Cassius directly this time, not through Odell. Tells him the offer's still open, better now, given the sudden interest. Tells him he could build something real, teaching this properly on his own terms, home every night. Cassius doesn't say yes right away. But for the first time in 3 years, he doesn't say no right away either. Tyler, meanwhile, has gone quiet at the gym, shows up less. The regulars who used to laugh at his jokes about Mop Guy don't offer him much conversation anymore. Nobody's cruel to him. They just don't have much left to say. But Tyler isn't finished making mistakes. Not yet. 2 weeks after the roll, Tyler makes the mistake that finally cost him something real. He'd been quiet at the gym, but not quiet online. A regional combat sports page picked up the story of Cassius, and the comments underneath filled up fast with support, admiration, people tagging veterans they knew. Tyler couldn't stand watching someone else hold a room he used to think belonged to him. So he posts a video of his own, him narrating the role differently than it happened, claiming he let the old guy have one, calling Cassius's technique lucky, dismissing the Navy background as a nice story for clicks. He tags the gym. He tags the sports page. He thinks he's taking his room back. Instead, 3 other members post their own footage from that Saturday, wide angle, no editing, showing exactly what happened and exactly how it happened. The comments turn on him fast. A regional youth combatives association, the same one that had reached out about featuring Cassius in a community segment, sees the whole thread. They pull their pending sponsorship offer to Tyler's affiliated gym chain the same week, citing conduct concerns. His own coach, the one who cared more about trophies than character, distances himself publicly, calls it an isolated incident that doesn't reflect the academy. Tyler doesn't get arrested, doesn't get sued. This isn't that kind of story. What happens to him is smaller and, in its way, harder to walk away from. The record follows him. Other gyms hear about Marcus, hear about the video, hear about a black belt who mocked a 9-year-old stutter and then lied about a fair fight on camera. Doors that used to open for a 3rd-degree black belt with a clean record start staying shut. He transfers gyms twice in 6 months, looking for a room that hasn't heard the story yet. He doesn't find one for long. Cassius doesn't celebrate any of it. He isn't built that way. He takes Petty Officer Alvarez's offer, but on his own terms, exactly like he said he would. 3 days a week, contract work, training vets in transition in municipal defense units, never more than a 2-hour drive from home. Home every night for dinner. No exceptions. He keeps working the front desk at the gym too, part-time now, because Nia still likes doing her spelling homework on that same clipboard by the door, and because Marcus still shows up early to help wipe the mats, stutter and all, standing a little taller these days. 6 months later, Cassius starts a free Saturday morning class, no charge, for kids like Marcus. Kids who get picked last. Kids who need somebody patient enough to let them be careful instead of fast. He doesn't call it anything special. The regulars just started calling it coach's class, and it stuck. Odell still calls every Sunday, still tells him the same thing, though he says it a little differently now. Told you, Cash. Water finds its level. Yours just needed somewhere to rise into. If this story reminded you that the quietest person in the room is sometimes the strongest one in it, drop a comment below and tell us who that person is in your life. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it today, and subscribe, because this isn't the last story like this one we're telling.